I think self-consciousness is one of the most interesting features of the world. So I can have all sorts of phenomenal experiences. I can have all sorts of colorful sensations and pain and pleasure and so on. And I have access to my own self-consciousness. But what's interesting is that you don't have access to my self-consciousness, and I don't have access to your self-consciousness. And as a philosopher of religion, I think the idea of self-consciousness has a lot of interesting implications. So for example, you might think that if God is a perfect being, then he wouldn't know what it is like to be imperfect. So he doesn't have access to our self-consciousness. Or if God is omnipotent, then maybe he doesn't know what it is like to be in danger, and so on. Another interesting implication is that if God doesn't have access to our self-consciousness, then maybe this creates a significant problem with respect to the problem of evil. So you might think God doesn't fully understand why we have to go through pain and suffering, or maybe he doesn't understand exactly how we feel when we have to face evil. And this could enhance the problem of evil. Now, I think that ultimately this assumption that God doesn't have access to our self-consciousness is untenable, because I think there is a counterexample to this idea that you can never understand what other people feel or what kind of self-consciousness other people have. So here's one counterexample. So suppose that I have a horrible dental surgery and I learn what it is like to have a severe toothache. Now, on my way home, suddenly lightning hits a swamp nearby and my molecular duplicate is suddenly created. And this man, the molecular duplicate, he knows exactly how I feel, exactly what kind of toothache that I have. And I think this suggests that the empiricist assumption here is wrong. So it's not always the case that in order for you to know what it is like to be someone or what it is like to feel something, you have to have a relevant experience. So ultimately, I think this argument against God's omniscience, which appeals to self-consciousness, is untenable.